Just because an indicator has smart money concepts in the name does not mean they all work the same way. Today we are looking at 3 of them, all covering market structure, order blocks, and fair value gaps. And the differences between them are bigger than you would expect. I'll give you a clear breakdown of what each one actually does, where the logic holds up, and whether any of them are worth adding to your charts. FluidTrades SMC Lite, created by PMG is a supply and demand zone indicator built around SMC principles, covering swing-based zones, a point of interest midline through each zone, and a structure break label when price invalidates a zone. The zone detection runs on pivot highs and lows using a configurable swing length, defaulting to 10 bars on each side. Supply zones are anchored to swing highs and demand zones to swing lows, with the box height calculated as ATR50 multiplied by a user-defined width multiplier, so the zone size scales with current volatility rather than using a fixed pip distance. The midpoint of each zone is plotted as a POI line, which serves as the primary reference level within the box. The overlap prevention logic compares the midpoint of any new candidate zone against all existing zones on the chart, using a threshold of 2 times ATR. If the new midpoint falls within that distance of an existing zone's midpoint, the new zone is suppressed entirely. The BOS mechanic monitors price close against each active zone's outer edge. When a close invalidates a supply zone from above or a demand zone from below, the box is removed and replaced with a horizontal BOS line at the zone's midpoint, persisting on the chart as a broken level reference. It functions better as a confirmation layer than a standalone system. It gives you areas to watch, but no internal signal for when to act within those areas, so you will need a separate entry trigger. What it does not cover is change of character labeling, order block detection in the institutional sense, fair value gaps, or any form of liquidity mapping. The history depth is capped at 50 zones per side, and there are no alerts built in. FluidTrades SMC Lite is well constructed for what it sets out to do, with the ATR sizing and overlap prevention showing genuine care in the logic. The feature set is intentionally narrow, and that is where it runs into its ceiling for more experienced traders. If you want a complete trading system with full customization so you don't have to jump between tools, Quantum Ribbon Pro was built for that. Link in the description. Let's continue. Smart Money Concept, created by TFlab, is a full-featured SMC indicator covering market structure, order blocks, fair value gaps, and liquidity levels, all built from a dual zigzag engine that runs 2 parallel structure calculations simultaneously. The dual structure system is the most distinctive part of this indicator. Most SMC tools give you a single layer of BOS and CHOCH labels. TFlab separates external swing structure from internal minor structure and labels both independently on the same chart. The external engine tracks major swing highs and lows using a wider pivot period, while the internal engine runs a tighter calculation and monitors for minor pivots within the larger structure. Both layers update simultaneously, so the indicator can show you that the major trend is bullish, while the internal structure has already flipped bearish, the kind of multi-layer read that usually requires switching timeframes. The order block system classifies blocks by their structural origin, whether they formed at a change of character or a break of structure, and splits them further into main zones and subzones. A refinement system with defensive and aggressive modes adjusts the displayed zone width based on how close to the origin you want to position. Fair value gaps are filtered by minimum width, and the liquidity layer tracks static and dynamic highs and lows with separate sensitivity controls for each. It can function as a standalone tool for traders who already understand SMC methodology, and it sits cleanly alongside a separate entry system if you prefer a confirmation workflow. The main limitation is the settings panel. There are separate color, style, and visibility inputs for every structural element, and getting it configured to a clean chart state takes meaningful time. The defaults are not always visually clear out of the box. One setting worth knowing about is the order block validity period. It defaults to 500 bars, on a daily or weekly chart that covers years of history with no issue. On a 4-hour chart, it covers roughly 83 days, and on a 1-hour chart under 3 weeks. If you trade lower time frames and want older blocks to remain visible, you will need to increase this value. The dual structure engine is the most thoughtful implementation in this category, and the order block classification by structural origin adds real context. The depth of the settings panel is the practical trade-off, and it will slow down traders who are not already familiar with how each element works. Smart Money Concepts. Advanced, created by Rabat, is a full SMC system built around volume-profiled order blocks, and that single design decision separates it from most other indicators in this space. Standard SMC indicators draw order blocks as fixed price range boxes. SMC Plus builds a volume profile across the candles that form each block and narrows the displayed zone to the value area high and value area low, the range where the majority of volume traded during that block's formation. The point of control, which is the price level with the highest volume concentration inside the block, becomes the break price. In practice, this means the indicator is not just marking where a block exists, it is identifying where within that block the most activity was concentrated, which gives you a more precise reference for entry and invalidation decisions. The confirmation logic runs through several stages. A developing block first trails price, then enters an extension phase, and only confirms when one of several conditions is met: a confirmed swing point in trend direction, a structural break, a soft confirmation where price touches the point of control and closes outside the block, or a set bar count without confirmation. There is also an FVG out retracement mechanic, where if price moves away from a developing block with a fair value gap crossing the block's origin edge, the indicator registers that as a flipped order block rather than discarding it. Beyond the order block engine, you get fair value gaps at the current time frame, and at a user-defined higher time frame, equal highs and equal lows detection, strong and weak high and low labels, and a full BOS and CHOCH structure layer. It requires volume data to function. Instruments without volume data will not generate order blocks, and the indicator displays a warning label on the chart when that is the case. It can operate as a standalone system for traders, with a solid grounding in SMC and volume concepts. For traders earlier in that learning curve, the output will require some prior knowledge to interpret correctly. The volume dependency is the main practical constraint. It rules out some forex pairs depending on your data provider. Volume-profiled order blocks with multi-stage confirmation logic and a higher time frame (FVG) layer in a free open-source indicator is a combination that is difficult to find elsewhere. The learning curve is real, but the underlying logic is sound. If you need more popular tools, check our recent review of 5 trending TradingView indicators here.